Hare Krishna. Welcome you all on our 90 episode book reading challenge. Today we are on day 16, reading 33 and 34 chapters. So as we see earlier in the previous session that the Krishna got separated from the gopis, and at the end they got reunion. And today's chapter name is the Rāsa dance. So this chapter describes Lord Sri Krishna's Rāsa dance, which he enjoyed with his beloved girlfriend in the forest along the river Yamuna. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamine Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschadya Desatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is the most expert in the knowledge of transcendental modes. In the company of the gopis who were tightly bound to him by the ropes of affection and totally dedicated to his service, the Lord expanded himself into numerous forms. The gopis became intoxicated with their enthusiasm to enjoy the Rāsa dance, and thus they began satisfying Krishna's sense by singing, dancing, gesturing amorously. The sweet voices of the gopis filled all the direction. So here we have seen Krishna expanded himself again into as many as of gopis. So even after Lord Krishna manifested himself in numerous forms, each gopis thought he was standing next to her alone. Gradually, the gopis became fatigued from the continuous dancing and singing, and each of them placed her arm on the shoulder of the Krishna standing beside her. Some gopis smelled and kissed Krishna's arm, which bore the fragrance of the lotus and was anointed with the sandalwood paste. Others put Krishna's hand on their bodies, and yet others gave Krishna's pleasure by embracing him lovingly. So this is the way we can see in the previous para we heard, just for the pleasing Krishna senses, we can do this by singing his glories, singing his name, dancing for him, and the same way. So Lord Krishna, being the supreme absolute truth, is the only actual enjoyer and the object of enjoyment. The second learning of today is he is the only actual enjoyer and the object of enjoyment as well. Although he is one without a second, he expands himself into many forms to increase his personal pastimes. Therefore, great scholar says that the Krishna's Rāsa dance is like a child playing with his own reflection. Sri Krishna is self-satisfied and fully endowed with incommensurable transcendental opulences. When he exhibits such pastimes as Rāsa Leela, all living beings from Brahma down to the blade of grass become merged in the ocean of astonishment. So again it's being said, when Krishna does his pastimes or Leelas, everyone in this whole 14 planets get bewildered or astonished. To say how, we have seen how Krishna has lifted the Govardhan hill and he has killed so many demons without a second. But when Mahārāja Parikshit heard the narration of Krishna's conjugal pastimes with the gopis, which superficially resemble the activities of lusty, wanton persons, he expressed a doubt to the great devotee Srila Sukadeva Goswami. So that's again a third learning from today's discussion. When we have some doubts, we should approach to our spiritual master and ask the question submissively so that we get clarified, not in the way to challenge how it happens. So Sukadeva Goswami dispelled this doubt by stating, since Sri Krishna is the absolute enjoyer, such pastimes as there can never be contaminated by any fault. So again the fourth learning, the pastimes of Krishna can never be contaminated by any fault. But if anyone other than Supreme Personality of Godhead tries to enjoy such pastimes, he will suffer the same fate that someone other than Lord Rudra would suffer if he attempt to drink an ocean of poison. Moreover, even one who only thinks of imitating Lord Krishna's Rāsa Leela will certainly suffer misfortune. That's the fifth learning. So here he says, we are not supposed to imitate the pastimes or Rāsa Leela of Krishna's. It's being, Sukadeva Goswami explaining that it's as if like imitating Lord Shiva or Lord Rudra when he actually drank the poison, ocean of poison. So anyone like trying to imitate Lord Shiva, and he can, even if he drink couple of drops of poison, we all know what will going to happen. So that is why even the Acharya, they explains that if you want to imitate or if you want to follow the personality, then follow Lord Rama. Lord Rama is Krishna himself, but when he came as Lord Rama, he was called as Maryada Purushottam. So if you want to follow personality, follow Lord Rama, and if you want to follow Sri Krishna, then follow his instructions that is given in Bhagavad Gita. So that not to be confused, like, no, okay, Krishna has done this, so we can do this as well. But that's like drinking ocean of poison, and maybe drops of poison, as Rudra drank ocean of poison earlier. So the Supreme Absolute Truth, Sri Krishna, is present within the hearts of all living entities as their indwelling witness. Sixth learning is Krishna is present within our heart as Paramatma. So when out of his mercy he exhibits his intimate pastime to his devotees, these activities are never besmirched by mundane imperfection. So our senses are mundane and are imperfection, so we cannot blaspheme these pastimes. So any living being who hears of the spontaneous loving attraction of the gopis felt for Lord Krishna will have his desire of material sense gratification destroyed at the root. Seventh learning, whenever we hear these pastimes with full faith, what happens? Our material sense gratification get uprooted, get destroyed. Just imagine it. Wow, wonderful these pastimes are. And the person will develop his natural propensity for serving the Supreme Lord, the spiritual master, and the Lord's devotee. So, and again, eighth learning is we develop, what we develop? The propensity of serving the Lord, because it's being said in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we are the jivas, and jivara sarupa hai Krishnera nitya das. So the living entity is actually a servant of Krishna, and that propensity will be developed when we hear these pastimes of Krishna with full faith and convictions. So that is how we end chapter 33 and going to chapter 34 now, where it says Nanda Mahārāja saved and Śaṅkhacūḍa slain. So this chapter describes how Lord Sri Krishna saved his father Nanda from the clutches of a serpent and delivered a Vidyadhara named Sudarsana from the curses of Rāsa sages. One day Nanda Mahārāja and the other cowherdmen placed their family members on their bullock cart and went to the Ambikavana forest to worship Lord Shiva. After bathing in the Saraswati river and worshipping Lord Sadashiv, a form of Lord Vishnu, they decided to spend the night in the forest. As they slept, a hungry serpent came and began to swallow Nanda Mahārāja. Terrified, Nanda Mahārāja cried out in distress, "O Krishna, O my son, please save this surrendered soul." The cowherdmen immediately woke and began beating the serpent with wooden torches, but the serpent would not release Nanda Mahārāja. Then Lord Krishna came and touched the serpent with his lotus feet. The serpent was immediately freed from his reptilian body and appeared in his original form as a demigod. So he told them about his previous identity and described how he had been cursed by the group of sages. Then he offered his homage at the lotus feet of Sri Krishna and on the Lord's order returned to his abode. So what happens long back actually, so this snake actually was being cursed by the Rāsa sages, and how he has taken a body of serpent. Just by touch of Lord Krishna's feet, he could revive his own original form as a demigod, and he prayed and he went back to his own abode. So he was a well-known Vidyadhara and named Sudarshan that we discussed earlier. So what happened earlier is he was got caused by Angikara Muni, and then he became a serpent. So now, later during the Dola Purnima festival, Sri Krishna and Balram enjoyed the pastime in the forest with the young women of Braja. The girlfriends of Baladeva and those of Krishna joined together and sang about their transcendental qualities. When the two lords became absorbed in singing to the point of apparent intoxication, a servant of Kuveras named Śaṅkhacūḍa bodily came forward and began abducting the gopis. The young girls called out, "Krishna, please save us," and he and Rama began to chase after Śaṅkhacūḍa. "Don't be afraid," Krishna called out the gopis. And as soon as the gopi called, Krishna came and assured them, "Don't worry, don't be afraid." In fear of the lords, Śaṅkhacūḍa left the gopis aside and ran for his life. Krishna chased after him, swiftly approached him, and with a blow of his fist removed Śaṅkhacūḍa's jewels together from his head. And then the Krishna brought the jewel back and presented it to Lord Baladeva. So that is how we see the pastime where Krishna saved Nanda Maharaj again. Earlier he has saved Nanda Maharaj from the ocean from Kuver, and then again he saved for the second time. So thank you for being with me, and we have actually crossed a long now. It's 34 episode has been finished out of 90. So thanks for inspiring me. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.